Today, I'm going to show you how to save time by creating export presets in Lightroom. Hey guys, and welcome to Phlearn. My name is Aaron Nace, and you can find me on Phlearn.com, where we make learning fun. And I'm so excited about today's episode because we're going to save you a ton of time. Now, oftentimes your images are going to go to multiple places like Instagram and Facebook and your web page and your portfolio and print. We're going to show you how to create export presets in Lightroom so you can do all of those things extremely quickly. We got a great episode, guys. Let's jump into Lightroom. So here we are in Lightroom, and the first thing I want to do is import my photos. So I'm going to go up to File and down to Import Photos and Video. Now in this case, I'm going to just grab my Finder and click and drag the images straight into Finder. And you can download these images on Phlearn.com. Just follow the link in the description right down below. Now these images were shot for our tutorial Photography 101, and they're some of our highlight images. So we wanted to put them in a few different places. So let's go ahead and add them to our catalog and hit import. All right, they look great. Now, keep in mind, I wanted to include one image that's a portrait style and one image that's a landscape style, because these are gonna get slightly different treatment. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is create a preset for Instagram. So for the Instagram preset, the first thing we wanna do is make both of these images square. So I'm gonna hit on the Develop tab here. There we are. And here in the Crop menu, I'm going to click right here where it says our aspect ratio and go to 1:1. That's going to be a square. Okay, and simply drag up and hit enter. Now I'm going to go to my next image, just hit the right arrow. We'll go to our crop dialog here. I'm going to go to a 1:1 again, and we'll just drag this over right here. It's a little bit more interesting there, and hit enter again. Okay, so now back into our library, we have square versions of both these files. Now we can get back to the original crop really easily. Okay, so now it's time to create our first preset for Instagram. So to create our preset, I'm gonna right click on our image and we're going to go to Export and over here to Export. All right, so let's go ahead and figure out what settings we want to go for Instagram. The first thing we're going to do is we're gonna choose this folder later, okay? Because I'm actually gonna show you how to create a folder structure that's going to help you out moving forward. Now, I do want to rename this. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Rename and go to Edit. And there we go. Now here in my file template editor, the first thing I want is our file name, okay? Because I want to keep my file name intact. And the next thing we want is some custom text. So if you don't have any of that visible, no big deal. Just go where it says image name, go to Insert File Name. There we go. And custom text, go to Insert Custom Text. All right, and hit Done. Now, our custom text is going to show up right here. So I'm going to call this _1080_Instagram because we're going to make this 1080 pixels wide. So here we can see a little preview. This is going to be the file name of our image. So we have _MG4300 and then _1080. So I know my file size here, the actual dimensions, and I know this is for Instagram. Okay, perfect. Next, JPEG and sRGB quality of 80. That's really great. Now, the next thing we want to choose is a resize to fit, and our width, we're just going to type in 1080. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and have sharpen for screen and set this to standard. So now, basically we have all of our settings in place. Okay, this is going to export a file. It's going to be called _1080 Instagram, and it's going to be the size 1080, which is actually a really good size for uploading to Instagram. So now what we have to do is save this preset. So jumping back in, we've got all of our settings right for our Instagram preset. Now I'm gonna go ahead and hit the add icon, okay? And we're gonna put this in a new folder. We're gonna call this, here we go, new folder, and we'll just call this export. There we go, let's hit create. And then I wanna give this the name of both the dimensions and Instagram. So we're gonna call this 1080 Instagram. All right, and hit create. So now you can see we have an export folder with 1080 Instagram. So I'm gonna hit export and it's gonna put this in, basically we have export to choose folder later. So let's hit export here. Now, one quick little note. I prefer to create a folder in either a Google Drive or a Dropbox folder that's called Final Images. And then you can sort things from there. So we're gonna show you how to sort that. But the reason I use either Google Drive or Dropbox is that it allows me to view these files from any computer or mobile device anywhere in the world. So for your final photos, kind of makes sense to be able to access those from everywhere. So I would suggest putting this in a Google Drive. Now, for this episode, I'm just gonna use the desktop because it's a little bit more simple, but if you wanna be able to access these from anywhere, Google Drive or Dropbox is the way to go. Now, for this example, I'm just gonna put them on my desktop. So I'm gonna first create a new folder here, and I'm gonna call this Final Images. There we go. Now, we're gonna create another new folder in here with the project name, because this is from Photography 101. There we go. Now I'm gonna create one more folder in here, and I'll show you how to replicate this folder structure. It's super simple. One more folder, and we're just gonna call this 1080 Instagram. All right, Instagram, and hit create and hit open. So now it's gonna export this file into that folder. Okay, really simple. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing with our other image in the same series. So we're gonna simply click right here. This is way easy because we just created our preset. Now this is like, it gets super easy from here. So all we have to do now is right click on this image, go down to export, and over here, we're gonna see under our export folder, we've got 1080 Instagram. Okay, so it's gonna put all of the exact same settings, just click there, choose the folder you'd like to put it in. So we'll just go to desktop, there we go, 1080 Instagram, and hit open, and that's it. And you could basically do this with, you could click on 50 images at the same time and export them all out to that folder. Now, the nice thing here is that the file name is gonna include both the pixel dimensions and where it's going. In this case, it's Instagram. So let's go ahead and back to our Finder window. I'm gonna just go back into our desktop. Okay, here we have Photography 101, 1080 Instagram, and check out our images. So as we bring those a little bit bigger, you'll see we have our image name, the size, and Instagram. So these are both perfectly fit for Instagram, and you can see our dimensions are 1080 by 1080, which is a great size for Instagram. Okay, so basically we just created our first preset. Now, anytime you need an image to go out to Instagram from Lightroom, incredibly easy to do. Just crop it into a square, right click on it, go to export 1080 Instagram, choose the folder, and you're done. So now let's go ahead and create a few more presets that I use all the time. So we're gonna go back into this folder. I'm gonna create a new folder in here, and I'm just gonna call this 1200 pixels, because that's a really good size for the web. Think about Facebook or your website. 1200 pixels is a good size, but it's not large enough to where people can't steal the original, and it'll still display well, but it's not gonna take up a lot of space. And we're gonna click here and create a new folder, and I'm gonna call this full size. There we go. So let's go ahead and populate both of these folders as well. So going back here into Lightroom, the first thing I want to do is go to my Develop tab. Okay, we're going to click on our crop, and I'm going to go to Reset. Okay, now we're going to move to our next image here. There we go. Let's go to Close. Move to our next image by simply hitting the right arrow. Go to our crop, and we're going to go to Reset here and close this as well. So now we've got our original sizes back. So let's create our next preset. I'm going to right click here. We're going to go to Export, and there we go. Now in this time, we want to still have it be renamed, but I want to change this file's name, right? I want to call this 1200 pixels. All right, so we'll have our file name underscore 1200 pixels, and I'll just call this web, because this is really great size for the web. Okay, now this is, keep in mind here, this is a landscape style image, right? So I want my width here to be 1200 pixels. Okay, sharpen for screen looks good, sRGB, all that looks good. Now let's go ahead and give this a name. So I'm gonna hit add, okay, still in my export, I'm gonna call this 1200, and this time we're gonna call this landscape. Okay, the reason I'm calling this landscape is because we have a landscape oriented image, and I've got my width set to 1200. Okay, and choose folder later. Let's hit export here, and there we go. Super simple, I know where this is going. There we go, we're gonna put this in the 1200 pixels and hit open. All right, now our next guy here, we're gonna right click here, and I'm gonna go to export. There we go. And this time, we're gonna keep the same name here, but instead of our width being 1200, I'm gonna have my height be 1200. Okay, because it's a different aspect ratio photo. So our height's 1200, and I'm gonna call this 1200 portrait. There we go, and let's go ahead and hit create there. and export, and we know exactly where this is going again. Okay, this is gonna go in the desktop, final image, and 1200 pixels. Okay, so they're both 1200 pixels on the long edge. We have one for landscape and one for portrait. All right, we're almost done, guys. Last thing we're gonna do is export both of these in their full-size version. So let's go ahead and right-click on both of these images. So hold Shift, click on both of them. Now we're gonna right-click, go to Export here, and there we go. Now, we do still wanna rename this. Okay, we're gonna call this full-size, because the file size is going to tell us a lot about, the file name is going to tell us a lot about what's in the file itself. So I'm gonna uncheck here for resize. Okay, so everything else is the same. It's not gonna be resize, and it's gonna be called full size. And then of course we need a new export preset. So let's go to add. All right, and I'm just gonna call this full size. There we go, let's hit create. Oh, it's already taken. All right, full size, there we go, and hit create. So let's go ahead and export this out. And again, we know exactly where this is going. Desktop, final image, and here into full size. So let's hit open there, and you're gonna see it's exporting both of those files out. Okay guys, well that's basically it. Let's go ahead and take a look in our Finder to see how this actually categorizes and names our images. So jumping back into Finder, here we have our Photography 101 project. Okay, my images that are ready to go for Instagram, the file name, and it says the size and Instagram, ready to go. My images that are both 1200 pixels, so the image name, 1200 pixels, and for web, okay, and this is indeed 1200 pixels height, and this is 1200 pixels width. And then our full size, here we have our image underscore full size and our image underscore full size, and you can see the dimensions there. So basically, anytime I need to get these images out to any destination, whether it's Facebook or my own personal web page or the Instagram, or just basically for print, you'd be using your full size. Anytime I need to use these images, I don't have to go and recreate all these things. I just get my images in Lightroom once and just export them with all my different presets, and I've got everything waiting to go. So the next time you need to export any images, it's incredibly easy. Simply jump into Lightroom, click on the images you want, right click, go to export. You don't even have to go into that dialog. You can just do it right here. Export, I'm gonna click on full size. There we go. Choose the folder that I want. I'll just throw these straight on the desktop. I know it's a little bit out of my naming conventions, but I just want to show you an example. Hit open and you're good to go. It exports both of those out in the exact size you want with the name in the file, so you know exactly what you're getting. All right guys, that's how you save a ton of time using export presets in Lightroom. So the next time you finish a version of a file, go ahead and create a couple presets and export it out in multiple different versions. It makes it incredibly easy to share on the web, on your own Facebook page, on your own personal profile page, and for print. And don't forget, you can download these images on Phlearn.com. Just follow the link in the description right down below. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Just jump on in. Just take the dive. We're going into Lightroom.
Off in case is not a word. Time to strip off this fancy shirt. Get back into my... it's summer.
What a creep.
I am such a creep.